Hey guys, in this video I want to share with you how I made over 2,000 Lucent in a week using a free-to-play account. Unfortunately, the RNG gods did not bless me. I did not receive any field drops. So if you're not planning to drop any money in the game, but you would still like to buy things like Battlepass and not sure how to get the Lucent for it, this will be the perfect video for you. So first I show you the end result and the trading history for the week. Playtime on the account is about 3 weeks with a reasonable amount of hours per day. Here you can see the last item was sold on the 2nd of November. All of the items are either dungeon drops or loot from grinding abyssal dungeons. It's actually mostly blue gear with a purple here and there. So no field drops, didn't get lucky in the guild raids either. And if we start counting from the 25th of October, that's roughly about a week. Notice there is a big gap between activity there where I couldn't get internet access for about 2 weeks, so nothing happened there. The total Lucent I made from this week of trading was just over 2k with 40 something items. You may notice that the total Lucent on the account is more than what I made. I did not buy any myself, but I'll get to that a bit later. To make this Lucent, for the most part, I sold traits and also some tradable materials that I didn't need. Anyone can do this, even if you're free to play, even if you're new. These guidelines are really straightforward. So the first one is the most difficult. Don't hoard stuff. I'll be honest, I'm a hoarder. I like to keep stuff just in case I need it, even if it's like weeks away. But in order to be efficient at making Lucent, that's something I had to overcome. So if it's not a trait I need right now, and by right now I mean I have a piece for my endgame build ready, and this trait is used on that. So if that's not the case, then the recommendation is to sell it. Reason being, at this stage of the game, except for the really rare stuff, there's always going to be more supply than demand. And when you actually need this trait, you will almost definitely be able to buy it for less, even if you take the tax rate into account. For example, because the character I'm playing now is a tank, I've been keeping tabs on the max health trait for 2 hand swords. And I'm pretty sure not long ago, this particular trait was selling about 160 Lucent instead. Now it's 54. So hypothetically, if I had this trait a couple of weeks ago, didn't need it then, sold it for 160, which is about 120 after tax, and now I need to use it, I buy it back for 50. I would have still made 70 Lucent. Second thing is, when listing items, list either at the lowest price or just below it by what I would recommend is 1 Lucent. While I understand everyone wants to sell their stuff ASAP, and sometimes undercutting by a lot makes us feel like it might get picked up much faster, but I've seen more than once where multiple sellers end up competing for the lowest price listing and they undercut each other by 5, 10, 20 each time. What end up happening is a lucky buyer somewhere gets a massive discount and the sellers lose their profit. So I would recommend that if you want to undercut the value of the lowest listing, put it at 1 Lucent less. Check back once in a while and relist if you have to. Now that becomes a gentleman's game and does not drive the market price down. This is also why I've largely avoided selling materials, because you've got to do a bit of math to be just under the market price. Next point is quite obvious, but I still see people do it a lot. So avoid saturated items. Saturated items are those that have a large amount of supply. All 6 traits are at the minimum listing price of 10 Lucent. I would say don't even bother with these. No point to waste your resources and attention. Just break them down or use them for your litho book and get something else for it. This leads us to the next point. Stock up on the trait extraction stones. These are critical as they allow you to extract the actual stats and put it on the market. Blue gear is 5 per piece and purple gear is 25 per piece. The best way to get these is through the contract coin merchant. So you can get the mystic keys that gives you mystic orbs and other things. Most importantly, you can directly buy these from the merchant and capped at about 400 a week. There are other ways of getting it, like using Ornate coins, but I prefer to save them for other purposes. As the game progresses, and a large chunk of the player base moves on to purple gear, we're going to need more and more of these trait extraction stones. Now we come to our last point and potentially the big one. Remember how before I mentioned that I had more Lucent on the account than I've made with the sales? This is not because I bought some extras myself. This is because I've been making an alt to help make more Lucent. The reason is, while the different characters you have don't share inventory or any other items, they do share the Lucent you have in your account. So that means if you make an alt and gear it enough to do the level 50 dungeons as well as the abyssal token farm, assuming you also have the time to grind it out, you can basically pull all the profit you make in Lucent to your main character and build it out the way you like. The alts don't really need to be overly geared. Enchanted blue pieces will get you to about 2.2 to 2.5k gear power, and that's more than enough to do the Lucent grinding. So this is the trading history for my alt. Notice how I've made about 1,000 Lucent here, but I still have access to the Lucent I have on the account. The good thing about this is you can be a bit more experimental on your alts. If you make a mistake, like I did, I actually turned a piece into litho by accident. What I actually wanted to do was sell the whole piece, but then I realized you couldn't do that, so I ended up wasting the good trade as well as some resources. But it's on it now, so I don't feel too bad. So this absolutely will need a lot of time, since we need to set up the characters and also grind out the dungeons. But if you wanted to experiment with, say, a new build anyway, this might be a good way forward. And that's it. Thanks for watching till the end. Hopefully this would help you build wealth in Throne and Liberty. Feel free to check out other content like dungeon guide and gearing guide in my channel.